The Dodgers have let former MVP Cody Bellinger go on the free agent market. Hey, who wants to feel gross? The Lakers are eyeing a dude who pleaded no contest to domestic abuse. And we'll take a quick peek as to how both USC and UCLA utilize the transfer portal to get back to national prominence. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is faithful Angelino's morning report. It is November 19th, 2022. It is an absolutely glorious time to be an Angelino. I'm a Galaxy fan. I love El Tráfico. I love the rivalry with LAFC. Do you know what's even better? USC versus UCLA, especially when both teams are ranked. Now, there is a preview of that game on both the Trojans and Bruins playlist if you want my thoughts on the match. In the meantime, if you like the content we put out, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. It's why I created the show in the first place. So before we go through the news and notes, quick look at the scoreboard. Anthony Davis drops 38 points, grabs 16 rebounds, leading the Lakers to a 128-121 victory over Detroit. Vancouver sinks the Kings 4-1. Blake Lizotte scored his 5th goal of the year for LA. Number 8 UCLA took its first loss of the year to number 19 Illinois out in Las Vegas, 79-70. This is a loss that's going to linger a bit. The Illini rallied from 15 points down in the second half to win. Said UCLA coach Mick Cronin, quote, "We caved," unquote. And USC sank Mount St. Mary's 83-74 behind Boogie Ellis's 19 points. Today, the previously mentioned battle for LA. Number 7 USC at number 16 UCLA. That's at the Rose Bowl at 5. San Antonio is in town to play the Clippers at 7:30. We don't know yet if Kawhi Leonard will go back-to-back games. We'll get into that a little more in a minute. And the Kings, they escaped the Great White North to play the Kraken at 7 p.m. The Kraken, they don't suck 'em. They're only 2 points behind LA. Cody Bellinger's stunning career collapse reached a low that we would have never seen coming a couple of years ago. Now, yesterday, teams had the right to offer arbitration to some of their younger players that were about to enter the free agent market. The Dodgers probably did, but they also probably knew that Bellinger's agent, Scott Boras, would never sign off on an arbitrator for a 1-year contract with Bellinger. Boras never wants to limit what his clients could make. So presumably the Dodgers were negotiating with Boras, who, by the way, has never met a client that wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is trying to wring every conceivable dime out of LA. So they are free to continue negotiating until Bellinger signs somewhere else. But the fact that a 27-year-old former MVP was let on the free agent market at all by a team with as deep pockets as the Dodgers illustrates this breathtaking fall. Bellinger was considered the NL's best player in 2019. Since then, he's hit 195. Now, he wasn't the only young player that the Dodgers let go by not offering arbitration yesterday. There were 2 others, one of them being prospect Edwin Rios. We'll get to Rios in a moment. The big thing that strikes me, baseball scribe John Heyman noted that without Bellinger, Craig Kimbrell, Andrew Heaney, David Price, Trey Turner, Justin Turner, Tyler Anderson, who, by the way, signed with the Angels, the Dodgers have wiped off more than $100 million off the books. Also, keep in mind that Trevor Bauer and his $34 million contract are lurking somewhere in the mix. Now, I'm not suggesting this as if to say, hooray, the Dodgers now have the money to pay the light bill. I'm saying this has to do with luxury tax thresholds and the Dodgers potentially pursuing big-name free agents, which, by the way, I have every reason to believe that they will. The Dodgers' needs are said to be shortstop, third base, outfield, starting pitching, relief. Yeah, that sounds like a lot, but even if LA decided to let all of those above-mentioned players to go, they have options to fill holes at most of those spots. What about Gavin Lux at shortstop? What about James Outman in the outfield? Or Chris Taylor? What about Miguel Vargas or Max Muncy at third? It literally comes down to Friedman and his brain trust deciding what holes do they want to fill internally and which massive free agent they theoretically could go after. A number of scribes are suggesting that the Dodgers want to pull Aaron Judge and his 61 home runs away from the Yanks. I also mentioned maybe the mega dopamine hit of giving Justin Verlander and his 3 Cy Youngs a massive contract. For that matter, what about Jacob deGrom? There are options for LA. Huge, just mind-blowing options. Now, as for Bellinger, I doubt he'll be looking for hand-me-down clothing and table scraps to feed his family. There are going to be clubs interested. You'll definitely hear about the Cubs, probably the Blue Jays, probably many more. So I'm going to be frank. I can't blame the Dodgers for this. You don't pay people in the hopes that they will remember how to do the job. You pay people big money because you know they can do the job. There's a huge difference. I mentioned Rios a moment ago. The dude can rake, but according to Andrew Friedman, the Dodgers have a glut of left-handed power hitters, so they wanted Rios to have a chance to play somewhere instead of just languishing in the minors. Also, welcome back to LA relief pitcher Jake Reed again. This is the 3rd time in 17 months that the dude has been acquired by the Dodgers. So, you know how Friedman keeps bringing up pitchers to the big club for maybe a day and then sending them back down to the minors? Totally annoying. That's probably going to be Reed next year, just to give you an idea. Shams Charania of The Athletic reports that in their desperate search for a dependable third scorer, there is a guy who scored 20 points per game last year who might be available. He's a small forward, so you would think he would be a nice 3-and-D guy to fit into the Lakers' new schemes. He was also in the running for most improved player in the league last year. I almost forgot. His wife also posted pictures on her Instagram where she was covered from head to toe in bruises. So there's that. Kind of lowers the bidding on Miles Bridges, wouldn't you say? Now, to be clear, Bridges pleaded no contest to the domestic abuse charges. He's not facing jail time. He's getting 3 years probation. He's also going to have to clear hurdles with the NBA in order to play again. And the Charlotte Hornets also have the right to match whatever another team can offer Bridges. At the moment, the Lakers can only offer him minimum wage. But you tell me what you think about adding that guy. That's a question. Meanwhile, over at the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard said that his recovery from an anterior cruciate ligament repair will be a, quote, 2-year process, unquote. Which leads me to wonder, when exactly did those 2 years start, dude? Did it start at the surgery? Is it starting now? I mean, this is a problem because both Leonard and Paul George are in their 30s. There is a belief on the team that this is the last realistic year of the Clippers having a title contention window open. It's now or never, according to some people inside the team. And we're saying Kawhi Leonard can't go? That's a problem. CBSSports.com has marveled at the way Lincoln Riley used the transfer portal for the Trojans, calling it a harbinger of college football's future. Maybe, but you still have to coach your ass off in order to make it work. Lincoln Riley is the first Trojans coach to go 9-1 in his first year since in the first time since John Robinson's first year. That was 46 years ago. God rest his soul. But to give you an idea of how much transferring players might play a role in the future, there is an analyst for a website that follows recruiting, not just the transfer portal, but the ones out of high school. He is suggesting that up to 1/5 of a team's scholarships in the future would go to players transferring from one school to another. In other words, let's say you're a teenager and you decide to go to middle inbred state, right? Then you have a couple of good years, you get impressed by the NIL collective over at a Power 5 school, and then you also get impressed by the fact that the cheerleaders at that school don't eat their lipstick. Bingo, you're transferring. But having said that, is the process sustainable? UCLA thinks it is sustainable. Because the point that the Bruins have is they use the portal to fill holes on the roster as opposed to cornering the market, saying getting a bunch of elite wide receivers or running backs or quarterbacks out of position. The Bruins, for example, they had holes on their defensive line. They filled 2 of the spots with twin brothers from North Texas through the portal. Said Chip Kelly, quote, "I can give you my philosophy, which is, I think it can be managed. That is, you can top the tank off. Most of the tank has to be through player development, through freshmen. Then you can bring a guy," unquote. For Riley's part, he came to USC knowing the program was in dire straits across the board and he didn't want to do a slow rebuild. Now? Well, the analyst I mentioned earlier thinks USC is the most dangerous program in America because, quote, "guys want to be there," unquote. And Riley can weld talent together faster than you can nuke a microwave burrito. Here is a fun fact about your defending, struggling Super Bowl champs. The Rams are the first team in the Super Bowl era, that would be since 1966, to use a different starting offensive line in each of their first 10 games. By the way, there is a preview of the Rams-Saints game on the Rams playlist, also a preview of Chargers-Chiefs on the Chargers playlist. The Sports Network, which by the way is Canada's version of ESPN, is reporting that NHL teams are damn near drooling all over their maple syrup for when the Kings want to talk trade. LA has a glut of right-handed shooting defensemen. 4 of the LA Kings defensive starters, or defensive, 4 of their top 6, they're all right-handed. And that does not include elite prospect Brant Clark or Jordan Spence, who are looking to get playing time. Apparently, General Manager Rob Blake doesn't feel a need to rush, and honestly, I don't think he should either. Do we have tons to talk about? Let me know what you think in the comments thread. Now, if you enjoyed watching this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back later today with a recap of USC UCLA. And Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.